The late afternoon sun slid gently over the golden fields of Denver, painting the horizon with a warm orange glow. In this rural paradise, far from the hustle and bustle of New York, Ethan Walker sought a peace that always seemed elusive. Ethan, a successful entrepreneur, had achieved more than he ever imagined in his humble youth. However, despite all his achievements and riches, there was a void in his life he could not ignore. The image of Sophia Miller, the love he let slip away to pursue his professional ambitions, remained vivid in his memory. Her brown hair, her expressive green eyes, and the freckles on her face still haunted him. Each year, Ethan dedicated himself to charity projects, hoping to find some redemption and inner peace. That afternoon, he found himself in a small rural school, participating in a volunteer day. As he watched the children play and laugh, his gaze settled on a little girl of about 7 years old. There was something about her that was disturbingly familiar. The girl, with bright green eyes and brown hair, looked like a miniature replica of Sophia. Ethan felt a lump in his throat as he saw the reflection of someone so important in his life in that small figure. He approached her with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Hello," Ethan said with a smile, trying not to show his agitation. "What's your name?" "My name is Lily," replied the girl in a sweet voice, looking up at him with a smile that lit up her face. "And you are?" "I'm Ethan," he said, feeling a strange connection he couldn't explain. Lily wasted no time in sticking to him for the rest of the afternoon, sharing childhood stories and innocent laughter. Ethan couldn't help but notice the similarities between Lily and Sophia. Every gesture, every expression reminded him of the woman he once loved deeply. At the end of the day, Lily looked at him with her big green eyes and said something that left him speechless. "Daddy, will you come visit me again?" Ethan felt the ground disappear beneath his feet. "Daddy?" he repeated in a whisper, trying to process what he had just heard. The connection was undeniable, and Ethan knew he needed answers. He said goodbye to Lily with the promise to return, and went to the only place where he could get the answers he sought. Olivia Parker, Sophia's best friend. Olivia lived in a modest house in the suburbs of Denver. Upon arriving, Ethan felt a mixture of nervousness and determination. He knocked on the door, and Olivia, a woman with dark hair and deep brown eyes, greeted him with a mixture of surprise and distrust. "Ethan?" Olivia said, crossing her arms. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you," he replied bluntly. "It's about Sophia and Lily." Olivia invited him in, and after offering him a cup of tea, they sat down in the living room. Ethan, wasting no time, explained his encounter with Lily and the confusion that consumed him. Olivia stared at him, weighing his every word. Finally, she sighed and said, "Sophia always knew this day would come. Before she died, she asked me to take care of Lily and find you when she was ready." Ethan leaned forward, his voice trembling. "Did she tell you anything about me? Did she know I still loved her?" Olivia nodded slowly. "Sophia always loved you, Ethan. Even when you decided to pursue your career, she understood and never held a grudge." Ethan clenched his fists, his eyes filled with regret. "But I left her. I chose my job over her." Olivia took a deep breath, her eyes softening slightly. "Sophia knew your decision was not easy. She just wanted you to know that it was never for lack of love." Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. So Lily is. Olivia held his gaze, her words full of truth. "Yes, she interrupted softly. "Lily is your daughter, Ethan. Sophia never wanted to hide it from you, but she was afraid of how you might react." Ethan fell silent for a moment, processing the magnitude of the revelation. How could she handle all this alone? Why didn't she tell me? The revelation hit Ethan with indescribable force. His whole world seemed to be falling apart as he tried to grasp the enormity of what he had just discovered. Lily, the little girl who had called him Daddy, was actually his daughter. Feelings of love, guilt, and regret intertwined in his mind, creating a whirlwind of emotions. Olivia, seeing the conflict in Ethan's eyes, continued, "Sophia didn't want Lily growing up without knowing who her father was. But she also knew how important your career was to you, and she was afraid this might interfere." Ethan nodded slowly, his thoughts returning to Sophia and all the decisions that had led them to this point. "I want to be a part of Lily's life," he said finally with renewed determination. "I want to get to know her and make sure she has everything she needs." Olivia smiled slightly, seeing a glimmer of redemption in Ethan's eyes. "Sophia would be happy to hear that," she said. "Lily deserves to know her father, and you deserve a second chance to make things right." Ethan felt a mixture of relief and determination. He knew he had a lot of work ahead of him to earn Lily's love and trust, but he was willing to do it. He thanked Olivia for her support and mentally prepared himself for what was to come. The next day, Ethan showed up at Olivia's house to pick up Lily. The little girl greeted him with a radiant smile and a warm hug, which gave him the strength to face his mother. As they drove back to Denver, Ethan tried to imagine what his life would be like with Lily by his side. However, he couldn't help but feel a shadow of worry when he thought about how his mother, Maria, would react. Upon arriving at his house, Maria greeted them at the door. Her eyes narrowed as she saw Lily holding Ethan's hand. "What is this, Ethan?" she demanded, her voice icy. "What are you doing bringing this child here?" Ethan took a deep breath before answering. "Mum, this is Lily, my daughter and Sophia's granddaughter. She's going to live with us." Maria crossed her arms, her expression hardened. "I will not allow a nameless stranger into our family. Not after everything we have worked for to maintain our reputation." Ethan's heart clenched, but he didn't back down. "Lily is my daughter, Mom, and she deserves to be with her family. I can't ignore my responsibilities or leave her alone." Maria frowned, her eyes blazing with disdain. "If you insist on this, Ethan, you'll have to choose. Either we get rid of this girl, or you forget about the position we've worked so hard to put you in." The threat in Maria's words was clear. Ethan knew his mother had always put reputation and social status above all else, even family. But he also knew he couldn't abandon Lily, not after everything he had discovered. "Mum," he said calmly but firmly, "my decision is made. Lily is staying with me." Maria let out a huff of frustration and turned away, entering the house without another word. Ethan looked at Lily, who was observing the interaction with large, curious eyes. He crouched down to her level and smiled, trying to hide the tension. "Come on, Lily. I'll show you your new room." The following days were a whirlwind of emotions and adjustments. Ethan dedicated every free moment to getting to know Lily better and creating a home environment for her. Olivia, always supportive, visited them frequently to help Lily adjust and offer emotional support to Ethan. One afternoon, while Ethan and Lily were in the garden, Olivia arrived with a bag of gifts. "I thought Lily might like to have some new books and toys," she said with a smile. Lily ran towards Olivia, hugging her enthusiastically. Thank you, Aunt Olivia. Ethan watched the interaction with gratitude. Thank you, Olivia. I don't know what we would do without you. Olivia shrugged, downplaying her efforts. Just doing what I can. Sophia would want Lily to be surrounded by love and support. As the weeks passed, Ethan noticed a subtle but significant change in Lily. The little girl, initially shy and reserved, began to open up and show her true character, a charming mix of curiosity, intelligence, and joy. But every step forward with Lily was accompanied by a new obstacle with Maria. Maria remained insistent that Ethan reconsider his decision. On one occasion, she even brought home a young woman, the daughter of a local magnate, and introduced her as the ideal future wife for Ethan. Ethan, this is Isabel, Maria said with a strained smile. A very suitable young woman for you and our family. Ethan stood up from the table and looked at Isabel courteously. Thank you for coming, Isabel, but I believe my mother hasn't given you the full picture. I am committed to caring for my daughter, Lily. Isabel looked surprised and slightly uncomfortable, while Maria glared at Ethan. Ethan, you can't be serious. You need to think about the future of our family. Ethan stood his ground. Mom, Lily is my future. I can't sacrifice her well-being for social convenience. After dinner, Maria confronted Ethan in private. You are throwing away everything we have built, she said with restrained fury. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. I'm not throwing anything away, Mom. I'm just doing what's right for my daughter. Maria looked at him with a mixture of frustration and disappointment. I always knew Sophia would be your ruin, and now her daughter is ruining everything we worked for. Ethan felt a pang of pain, but also a renewed resolve. Sophia was never a ruin, and Lily is a blessing. I can't allow your hatred for Sophia to harm my daughter. The following days were a whirlwind of tension in the Walker household. Maria seemed more determined than ever to make Lily feel uncomfortable, and her snide remarks became more frequent. Ethan, feeling growing concern for his daughter's emotional well-being, decided it was time to delve deeper into his mother's past and her connection to Sophia. One afternoon, after Maria had left for one of her social gatherings, Ethan made his way to the family library, a place rarely used. He began poring over old documents, letters, and photographs, searching for any clues that might shed light on his mother's behavior. Olivia, always willing to help, arrived shortly after to support him in his search. Ethan, she said, entering the library with a serious expression, I've been thinking about what you told me about your mother and her attitude towards Lily. There's something you need to know. Ethan looked up from the papers he was reviewing, his interest clearly piqued. What is it, Olivia? Olivia took a deep breath before continuing. Before Sophia died, she told me she had suspicions that someone was poisoning her. The doctors never found any conclusive evidence, but Sophia was convinced that her health was deteriorating too quickly and strangely. Ethan felt his heart skip a beat. Poisoned? By whom? That's what we don't know, Olivia replied grimly. Sophia was never able to pinpoint anyone with certainty, but she asked me to take care of Lily if anything happened to her. She also gave me a box with some of her personal belongings, thinking they might be useful someday. Ethan was silent, processing the new information. The idea that Sophia might have been poisoned seemed incredible, but he couldn't rule out the possibility. Where is this box? Olivia looked at him with determination. I brought it with me. It's in the car. I thought maybe we could find something that would give us more clues. Together, They went to retrieve the box and brought it to the library. Opening it carefully, they found a collection of letters, a diary, and some photographs. Ethan picked up the diary, moved by the sight of Sophia's familiar handwriting. He began to read aloud, searching for any clues that might explain her mysterious illness. As the pages turned, it became clear that Sophia had noticed changes in her health that she could not explain. She spoke of feeling constantly tired, of inexplicable pains, and of a general feeling of weakness that increased over time. She also mentioned her suspicions, although she never named anyone in particular. "This is disturbing," Ethan murmured, carefully closing the diary. "But it's not enough to accuse anyone." Olivia nodded, her expression reflecting Ethan's concern. "I know. We need more evidence, something concrete. But at least now you know that Sophia wasn't imagining things. Someone really could have been hurting her." As they continued to search through the box, they found a letter addressed to Ethan. He opened it with trembling hands, instantly recognizing Sophia's handwriting. "My dearest Ethan," he read aloud, "if you are reading this, it means I am no longer with you. There is something I need you to know. For the past few months, I have been feeling that something is not right with my health, and I have a suspicion that someone might be poisoning me. I have no proof, but I am afraid. Please take care of Lily. She is our daughter, and she needs her father. I trust that you will do what is right." Ethan dropped the letter, his eyes welling up with tears. "I can't believe Sophia went through this alone." Olivia placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "She wasn't alone, Ethan. She knew you would take care of Lily, and that gave her strength. Now it's up to us to uncover the truth and make sure justice is served." From that moment on, Ethan and Olivia worked together to investigate further. They contacted old friends and colleagues of Sophia, trying to gather any information that could help them. Maria, meanwhile, grew suspicious of their activities and became more cautious, increasing her surveillance of Ethan and Lily. One night, while Ethan was reviewing some documents in his office, Maria entered unannounced. "What are you doing, Ethan?" she demanded, her eyes filled with suspicion. Ethan looked at her directly. "I'm trying to understand what happened to Sophia. I have reason to believe that her death was not natural." Maria was silent for a moment, her expression shifting from surprise to a calculated coldness. "I don't know what you're talking about. Sophia was sick, and that's it." "Sick? Or poisoned?" Ethan retorted, his voice firm. "I found her diaries, Mum. She suspected someone was poisoning her, and I won't stop until I find out the truth." Maria approached Ethan, her gaze icy. "Be careful, son. Some truths are best left buried." Ethan felt a chill at his mother's words, but his resolve did not waver. He knew he was getting closer to the truth and that, with Olivia's help, he could finally unravel the mystery of Sophia's death and protect Lily from any threat that might lurk in the shadows of his family's past. The days passed slowly, each one marked by small discoveries and moments of increasing tension. Ethan and Olivia continued their meticulous investigation, gathering fragments of information that slowly formed a clearer picture. One summer afternoon, while reviewing documents, Ethan came across an old letter that caught his attention. "Olivia, look at this," he said, pointing to the letter with an astonished expression. "It's a correspondence between my mother and a woman named Catherine. It seems that Catherine lived near Sophia." Olivia leaned in to read with Ethan. "Catherine. I remember Sophia mentioning a neighbor by that name. She said she always seemed a little too interested in her life." Ethan nodded, his mind racing. If this is the same Catherine, she could be the key to understanding what happened. They decided to find Catherine, and after a few calls they managed to locate her in a modest residence on the outskirts of Denver. When they arrived, Ethan felt a mixture of nervousness and anticipation. Catherine, a middle-aged woman with grey hair and piercing eyes, greeted them with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "How can I help you?" she asked, her voice tinged with suspicion. Ethan cleared his throat, trying to sound as calm as possible. "Mrs. Catherine, I'm Ethan Walker. My mother is Maria Walker, and this is Olivia Parker, a close friend of Sophia Miller. We want to ask you some questions about the time you spent as Sophia's neighbor." Catherine frowned, but allowed them to enter. "I don't know how much help I can be, but come in." They sat down in the living room, where the atmosphere was thick with tension. Ethan decided to get straight to the point. "We have found letters between you and my mother. We know that you and Sophia were neighbors and that there was correspondence between you and my mother during that time. We believe you may know something about Sophia's death." Catherine was silent for a moment, looking at Ethan and Olivia with an intensity that made them uncomfortable. Finally, she sighed and said, "I never thought this would come to light, but it seems the time has come. Yes, I knew Sophia. She was a lovely woman, and I was always struck by how much she cared for her daughter." Ethan nodded, encouraging her to continue. "And my mother? What do you know about her relationship with Sophia?" Catherine leaned back in her chair, as if deciding how much to reveal. "Your mother. Maria and I have known each other for many years. She asked me to keep an eye on Sophia, to make sure she didn't do anything that could damage her family's reputation. At first, I thought it was just a mother's concern. But then, things changed." Olivia leaned forward, her eyes filled with concern. "What do you mean, things changed?" Catherine looked directly at Ethan. "Maria started asking me for strange favors. She asked me to give Sophia certain remedies that she said were for her own good. I didn't suspect anything at first. But then I realized that those remedies were making Sophia sick." Ethan felt his blood run cold. "Are you saying that my mother asked you to poison Sophia?" Catherine nodded, her eyes filled with remorse. "Yes, although she didn't call it that. She said it was to protect the family, that Sophia wasn't right for you, and that she had to be removed. She convinced me I was doing the right thing. But now I see how wrong I was." The silence that followed was deafening. Ethan could barely contain his rage and grief. "Why didn't you say anything before? Why didn't you go to the police?" Catherine looked down, her hands trembling slightly. "I was afraid. Maria is a powerful woman, and I am no one. I thought if I spoke up it would end up worse than it already was." Olivia placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, trying to calm him. "Ethan, we have Catherine's confession. This is enough to take to the authorities." Ethan took a deep breath, trying to control his emotions. "I know, Olivia, but it hurts to know that my mother is capable of something like this." Olivia nodded understandingly. "The important thing now is to protect Lily and make sure justice is done for Sophia." The next day, Ethan decided to confront his mother. He knew this conversation would be one of the most difficult of his life. But it was necessary. He went to Maria's study, where she usually spent her mornings reviewing documents and organizing social engagements. Maria looked up from her papers when Ethan entered. "Ethan, what are you doing here so early? I thought you'd be busy with your business." Ethan closed the door behind him and approached the desk with a grave expression. "We need to talk, Mom. There's something I've discovered and I can't ignore it." Maria frowned, her gaze turning cold and calculating. "What are you talking about?" Ethan sat down opposite her, trying to remain calm. "I've been investigating Sophia's death, and I've found evidence that suggests you were the one who poisoned her." Maria tensed, but quickly regained her composure. "That's absurd, Ethan. Sophia was ill. I had nothing to do with her death." Ethan took out Catherine's written confession and placed it on the table. Catherine confessed everything. She admitted that you asked her to give Sophia those remedies that made her sick. You can't keep denying it. Maria picked up the confession, reading it quickly before tossing it aside disdainfully. "That woman was always a gossip. You can't believe everything she says." Ethan felt frustration building inside him. "Why, Mom? Why would you do such a terrible thing? Sophia never did anything to you." Maria rose from her seat, her gaze cold as ice. "Everything I did was to protect our family. Sophia wasn't right for you or for our status. She would have destroyed everything we've worked for." Ethan was speechless for a moment, struggling to comprehend his mother's twisted logic. "So, you decided to murder her? You thought that was protecting the family?" Maria moved towards the window, gazing out at the garden with a distant expression. "Sometimes you have to make difficult decisions for the greater good. Sophia never understood our position. She wouldn't have survived in our world." Ethan stood up, his voice trembling with indignation. "You can't justify what you did. Sophia was a wonderful person and the mother of my daughter. Lily deserves to know the truth, and I can't let you get away with this." Maria turned back to him, her eyes filled with a mixture of defiance and desperation. "And what will you do, Ethan? Destroy your own mother for a dead woman?" Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his decision. "I'm turning you in to the authorities. You have to face the consequences of your actions." Maria stood silent, her face hardened with contained fury. "If that's what you decide, then go ahead. But remember, Ethan, once we cross this point, there's no turning back." Ethan turned and left the study, leaving his mother standing in silence. He knew the road ahead would be painful, but it was the only right path. With Olivia by his side, he headed to the police station to hand over the evidence and Catherine's confession. As they walked towards the car, Olivia took Ethan's hand, offering silent support. "We're doing the right thing, Ethan. Sophia deserves justice, and Lily needs to know her mother wasn't forgotten." Ethan squeezed Olivia's hand, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. "I know, Olivia, and no matter how difficult it is, I'll do everything I can to protect Lily and make sure Sophia can rest in peace." At the police station, Ethan and Olivia handed over Catherine's confession and all the documents they had found. The officer in charge, a burly man with a stern but understanding gaze, listened attentively. "We understand the seriousness of the accusations, Mr. Walker," said the officer. "We will begin a formal investigation immediately." As the authorities began their investigation, the tension in the Walker family reached fever pitch. Maria, upon learning of the accusations, tried to use her influence to halt the process, but she was met with unexpected resistance. The media caught wind of the story, and soon all of Denver was talking about the scandal. A few days later, Ethan received a call from his lawyer. "Ethan, we need to prepare for the preliminary hearing. The evidence is strong, but this will be a tough battle." Ethan nodded, knowing the real fight was just beginning. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure the truth comes out. On the day of the hearing, the courtroom was packed with journalists and curious onlookers. Ethan sat beside Olivia, feeling his mother's gaze from across the room. Maria maintained an expression of unperturbed coldness, but Ethan could see the flicker of worry in her eyes. The judge, an older man with an air of severity, took his place, and the hearing commenced. The prosecutor presented the evidence clearly and concisely, including Catherine's confession and Sophia's diary. Maria, represented by a skilled and expensive lawyer, defended herself vehemently, claiming the accusations were unfounded and motivated by personal vendettas. "My client is a respected woman in the community," argued Maria's lawyer. "These accusations are a vicious lie designed to destroy her reputation." Ethan watched silently, feeling a mixture of anger and sadness. He knew this process would be difficult, but he was determined to see that justice was served for Sophia and Lily. When it was Catherine's turn to testify, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. Catherine, visibly nervous, recounted her story in a trembling but clear voice. She described how Maria had manipulated and coerced her into poisoning Sophia. "I didn't want to do it," Catherine said, tears welling up in her eyes. "But she made me feel like I had no other choice." Catherine's testimony was devastating for the defense. The judge, after hearing all the evidence and arguments, ruled that there was sufficient evidence to proceed with a formal trial. After the hearing, Ethan and Olivia retreated to a private room to meet with their lawyer. "This is just the beginning," said the lawyer. "But we took a big step today. Now we need to prepare our case for trial." The trial dragged on for weeks, with moments of high tension and emotional confrontations. Ethan remained steadfast, attending every session with Olivia by his side, while Maria tried in vain to discredit the evidence and testimonies. Finally, the day of the verdict arrived. The courtroom was packed with journalists and spectators, all eager to hear the outcome of this dramatic case. The judge took his place, and a hush fell over the room. "After considering all the evidence presented and testimonies heard," began the judge, "the court finds Maria Walker guilty of first-degree murder in the poisoning of Sophia Miller." A collective gasp went through the courtroom as the judge continued. "Maria Walker, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole." Ethan felt a mix of relief and sorrow wash over him. He had achieved justice for Sophia, but at an immense personal cost. As Maria was escorted out of the courtroom, their eyes met one last time. Maria maintained her cold expression, but Ethan saw a flicker of resignation in her eyes. Leaving the courthouse, journalists swarmed Ethan and Olivia, asking questions and taking photos. Ethan paused for a moment, looking at the cameras with an expression of determination. "Today, justice has been served for Sophia and for Lily," he said, his voice firm. "I hope this case serves as a reminder that the truth must always prevail, no matter how painful it may be." Back home, Ethan and Olivia focused on rebuilding their lives with Lily. They wanted the little girl to have a happy and secure childhood, far from the shadows of the past. Lily, with her childish innocence, seemed to adapt better than expected, although there were moments when sadness would creep into her eyes. One evening, while Ethan and Olivia were preparing dinner, Lily approached them timidly. "Daddy, at school, they asked me about my grandmother. What should I tell them?" Ethan knelt down to Lily's level and gently stroked her hair. "Lily, you can tell them the truth, that your grandmother is facing the consequences of her actions. It's always best to be honest." Lily nodded slowly, seeming to understand the gravity of the situation. Okay, Daddy, I'll be honest. Olivia watched the interaction with a warm smile, admiring the way Ethan handled difficult situations. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but together they were ready to face any challenge. As time went on, Ethan also focused on his business, trying to balance his professional and personal life. He knew he had a responsibility not only to his family, but also to his employees and the community. He committed to running his company with integrity, reflecting the values he had learned during his journey toward justice. One spring morning, while Ethan was reviewing some documents in his office, Olivia entered with a radiant smile. "Ethan, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice filled with contained excitement. Ethan looked up, intrigued by the sparkle in Olivia's eyes. "Of course, Olivia. What is it?" Olivia approached and took Ethan's hand, looking directly into his eyes. "Ethan, I'm pregnant." Ethan's world stopped for a moment. He felt a wave of emotions wash over him. Surprise, joy, gratitude. He stood up and embraced Olivia tightly, his eyes filled with tears of happiness. "This is wonderful, Olivia. We're going to have a baby." Olivia smiled, feeling Ethan's love and excitement. "Yes, Ethan. Our family is growing." The news of the pregnancy filled their home with renewed joy. Lily, upon learning that she would have a little sibling, couldn't contain her excitement. "Am I going to be a big sister?" she asked, her eyes shining with excitement. "Yes, Lily," Ethan replied, hugging his daughter. "You're going to be an amazing big sister." The following months were filled with preparations and anticipation. Ethan and Olivia worked together to prepare for the arrival of their son, whom they decided to name Daniel. With each passing day, their love and connection grew stronger, and the wait was filled with moments of tenderness and anticipation. One autumn afternoon, while walking through the park, Ethan paused to observe his family. Lily was running and playing with Daniel, while Olivia watched them with a smile of pride and love. Ethan felt a profound peace as he watched the two most important people in his life sharing such a simple yet beautiful moment. "You're a lucky man, Ethan," Olivia said, breaking the silence with a smile. "Look what we've created together." Ethan nodded, his heart filled with gratitude. "Yes, I am. And I wouldn't trade this for the world." Finally, the day came when Daniel was born. It was a smooth and uncomplicated birth, and when Ethan held his son for the first time, he felt a wave of love and protectiveness wash over him. Daniel was perfect, and in that moment, Ethan knew his family was complete. Shortly after Daniel's birth, Ethan decided it was the right time to take his family to visit Sophia's grave. They wanted to thank her and honor her memory, knowing that she would always be an important part of their lives. One sunny afternoon, Ethan, Olivia, Lily, and baby Daniel made their way to the cemetery. They carried flowers and a candle, and when they reached Sophia's grave, Ethan knelt down and carefully placed the flowers. "Hello, Sophia," he said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I wanted you to meet our family. Thank you for everything you gave us, and for the love that will always hold a place in our hearts." Olivia knelt beside Ethan, placing the lit candle next to the flowers. "Sophia, we thank you for your kindness and for being a part of Ethan's life. We promise to take care of Lily and raise her surrounded by love." Lily, understanding the solemnity of the moment, stepped forward and left a drawing she had made. "I love you, Mama Sophia," she whispered. "Thank you for watching over us from heaven." As they stood in silence, each lost in their thoughts, A gentle breeze brushed their faces, as if it were a sign of approval and peace from Sophia. Ethan felt a warmth in his heart and knew that, somehow, Sophia was there with them, smiling and watching over them. The drive home was quiet and filled with reflection. Ethan, Olivia, and Lily spoke of their memories and dreams, while Daniel slept peacefully in his car seat. They knew life would continue to bring its challenges, but they were also certain that, together, they could face anything. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Ethan and Olivia focused on building a strong and happy future for their family. They ensured that Lily and Daniel grew up in a home filled with love, support, and strong values. One afternoon, while strolling through the park, Ethan stopped to observe his family. Lily was running and playing with Daniel, while Olivia watched them with a smile of pride and love. Ethan realized that they had reached a new chapter in their lives, one filled with love, hope, and fulfilled promises. And with each step they took, they knew they were building a future brimming with possibilities and happiness for them all. The journey of Ethan Walker is a poignant saga of love, redemption, and justice that leaves a lasting impression on the reader. The story of Ethan, a man confronting his past mistakes and fighting for the truth and the well-being of his daughter Lily, is a powerful testament to the transformative power of love and integrity. Throughout the narrative, we witness Ethan's evolution from a career-driven businessman to a loving and devoted father, willing to overcome any obstacle to protect his family. His struggle against his mother, Maria, and the painful process of bringing her to justice for her crimes showcases Ethan's courage and commitment to truth and justice. The unwavering support of Olivia, his partner and confidant, highlights the importance of solidarity and love in times of adversity. Together, they build a home filled with love and hope for Lily and their newborn son, Daniel. The most important takeaway from this story is that truth and love always prevail. Through perseverance and integrity, Ethan teaches us that it is possible to overcome the past and build a better future, demonstrating that genuine love is the most powerful force for change and redemption. If you found the characters' journeys inspiring, give this a thumbs up and comment to share your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories that highlight the power of human connection and kindness. Thanks for watching.